Today, we're at the former Addyston, Miami Township Fire Department. We'll be talking to Miss Nancy Thomas, a lifelong resident of Addyston. She's going to share with us some of her fondest memories of Addyston and give us a little bit of information about the former fire department. Come on in, I'll show you around. Hi everyone, we are here today with Miss Nancy Thomas, and she's going to share with us some of her fondest memories of Addyston and Miami Township, and she's also going to tell us a little bit about that building that we're in, the former Addyston and Miami Township Fire Department. So Miss Nancy, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Good, well thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with us. So, you told me that you were born and raised in Addyston. You've been here your entire life, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so can you tell us a little bit about the building that we're in and what you remember in terms of the fire department?
I can remember, I don't know when they built this, but I remember as a girl going to Addison School, which was right next door to this building. And the fire truck was here, and there was a family that lived in this building.
Wow.
They had about 4 rooms, and they had about 2 children. So the fire truck was in the bay to the right of this building. And they had a bay to the left also, but now they have police material in there that they say they keep and store. So I can remember the fire truck being here, and I think we would call Addyston council or the village, and they would call the fire truck out to service the homes around here in Addyston. And this was the only fire trucks that we had to service the homes here in Addyston at that time. Now it's a little different. They come from somewhere else. But this was Miami Township in Addyston, and they had volunteer fire department. So we were lucky because people didn't have to go out of town to come back into Addyston. They were here. I don't know how they done it here when they done it, but it would be maybe 5 or 6 minutes before they would end up coming to your homes. And so that's how the fire, that's how we started. So.
Now, you mentioned that there was a school that was right next to the fire department.
Addyston Public School.
How many children went to the school? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Maybe 100 or 200?
Yeah, it might have been about 200 because everybody in Addyston went to that school.
Okay.
And that school just recently been tore down about maybe not a year. They connected it with Three Rivers District. So that school just got torn down, and we all walked to school. So.
Now, do you remember being in school, since this was the fire department, do you ever remember there being fire runs during the middle of the day with the kids at school get really excited when they would see all the fire trucks leaving the station?
Yes,
yeah. Wow, really?
Yes. We had kindergarten there. We came on up, and we have to walk past here to get to the school.
What are some of the fun things that you remember about the town of Addison? What would everyone do for fun?
We had a theater, which was right next door. It was called the Old Bricks Building. There was a show there. We went to show. We had a pizza parlor. We had an ice cream parlor. And most of the things we done, we made up our games. We had good imagination. And we made up games where we would make balls out of socks. You get your old socks and roll them up and put them in a big sock, and you go get your stick off a tree, would be your bat. That would be your game. We played a lot of hopscotch. Yeah. And we just mess up all the streets playing hopscotch. We played house. We played with our dolls. We played dodgeball. We played baseball in different fields in Addyston. We made up fields. Wherever you seen a vacant lot, you would just make you a baseball field. And if you found a vacant lot somewhere else, you'd make a football field. And this is what we done. We played jacks, we jumped rope, we skipped. But nowadays, I know my grandchildren don't even know how to skip. They don't know how to jump rope.
Yeah.
They don't know anything. And then the boys would play marbles. We would play jacks. And we'd have socials around the town. Walk through the whole town of Addyston, where you go to people's homes, and they'd have a treat for you. You pay maybe $1 to go around the whole town. They called that a trip around the world.
Wow.
And that's what we done for fun.
Now, do you remember the town of Addyston being very close-knit? Do you remember all of the neighbors knowing each other, or how was it back then?
It was very close-knit. for instance, I'm working on something now. I'm talking about the funerals in Addison. And the funerals in Addison was a social event because you would gather all the people in the town to sing at the funerals. Everything that they do at the funeral, they don't do that anymore, but everything that was done, it was done through a family.
Okay.
And I was very instrumental into getting these things together. So you'd have to have somebody to coordinate, communicate with the people from the different churches. At one time we had 7 churches here in Addison. So there would have to be someone to coordinate all these churches and all these people to have a church service for a funeral. Everybody would go to Maple Grove, which is 3 or 4 miles down the road in Cleves. And different people would come from Georgia, New York to visit. And it would be a social affair. And it would be a community affair. You go to the church, everybody would bring food in, and the town, whoever had a specialty for different foods to cook, that's who would bring the food for the churches, for the homecomings, or the funeral.
So who made the best pound cake?
A lady named Beulah Marcus, and then Dan Guller's wife, she's not as old as me, but she made the best pineapple upside down cake.
Okay.
So if someone died, her specialty would be you would want her pineapple upside down cake.
Okay.
And there was a lady named Ruthie Dudley who made macaroni and cheese, and those are the only 2 homemade things you can get now at the funeral: the macaroni and cheese and the pineapple upside down cake.
Okay.
But if the person, like my mother, had a specialty of cooking fried chicken, so automatically you got the fried chicken from her. She would donate it. You had a lady named Mother CME Germany Smith, who was a pastor here for years. She would make home-baked rolls.
Okay.
So whatever you done and done well is the one who would do that for these dinners. And I would mostly be the one who would coordinate this to get this together. Then you'd go to the church and you'd do all this together. You'd go to the graveyard at Maple Grove, and people would socialize at Maple Grove and stay down there 2 or 3 hours just seeing their, relatives.
Wow. So you mentioned the funerals and everyone coming out to some of the different 7 churches that were in this community, and now this is a church.
Yeah.
So how long has this been used as a church? How long has this building been used as a church, and what's the name of the church? And give us a little bit of information about that.
I think we've been here I didn't look this up, about 6 or 7 years, I guess, maybe.
Okay.
8. And it's called Phillips Chapel Christian Methodist Episcopal Church.
Okay.
And years ago it was called Phillips Chapel Colored Methodist Episcopal Church.
Okay.
But they changed that because they wanted to get more diversity of people in the church.
Okay.
And one of our members' relatives came in. This was just it was a home for some people when they were here. But they came in and done this type of work for us for free and made it look like it is today.
Okay. And so it doesn't even look like a fire department anymore.
It was a home.
Yeah. Wow. And this is another question that I have on a personal note. Long ago, was Addison a mixed community, or was it a majority African American community, or what was the racial mix for Addison?
It was mostly white, Caucasian. And on this side of town, which is up on this is all Main Street out here in the front. But on this side of town, we called it the West End. Well, what we called it was Black Addison and White Addison.
Okay.
So White Addison was up on this end, where black people didn't live up there. They had nice homes and everything. You didn't live up there. You had to live down on this end. And it was all, and they had these little homes that they built for you. We lived on Main Street on the West End and up on 2nd Avenue.
Understand. And then when you talk about the community coming together as a whole for the different funerals, was that segregated too, or did everyone come out and support each other?
Everyone would come out. If you happen to live by somebody, or the white people would come out too.
Wow.
And that has gotten much better in the years. They just really come out.
Okay.
Now, since we all live together in different places where black people have moved up on this end, white people have moved down on this end, they've come together. And it seems like the younger people get together a little bit more quicker than the older people.
Really? Interesting.
But we've had, and some people don't know this, but we've had a lot of white and black mixed marriages years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether they didn't know about it or what, but we had a lot of them, and
Mm-hmm.
so we've had that going too.
So you've also seen some racial reconciliation over the years
Yes,
too, where people are
yes.
starting to really come together and move beyond some of
And
that.
some of these people are older people that are
Really?
racial.
Wow, that's really interesting. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with us. We've learned a lot from you, and we definitely appreciate you spending the time with
Thank
us
you.
today. Thank you. I'm Danielle. Thanks for watching History in Your Own Backyard. Remember, travel slowly and stop often.